was made and the journey that you're looking at moving forward with James and the squad?
Yeah, we're excited. We obviously got one of the premier players in the world, so it's always tough to say goodbye to guys that you develop a relationship with, you feel strongly about. But going forward, we got very, very unique talent, incredible firepower. You could go down the line and talk about all the things he does with the basketball and brings to a team. So we're thrilled to have James and give our team a boost, but also obviously give us a lot more talent.
Greg Logan, Newsday.
Steve, the past 8 years at Houston, James might have had one superstar with him, and sometimes he was alone, so he's used to totally dominating the ball. So have you had a conversation with him about what type of sacrifices he might have to make, in that pairing with KD and Kyrie?
Yeah, it's going to be an adjustment for him. He's played the same role for many years now, same way, the same style. So we hope to emulate that in some ways, but in other ways, he's going to have to adapt to playing with other guys, namely Kevin and Kai, and that I think the newness of that, but also the adjustment of how do we make them all make each other better and fit together is something that I think he's incredibly excited about. He realizes he's in a fortunate opportunity with to be able to play with those guys, and those guys feel the same way about him. So I think everyone's motives are on track and in the same vein and ready to figure this thing out as we go here.
Bruce Beck, NBC New York.
Steve, how do expectations change, and do you feel more pressure to win a championship this year?
Yeah, I mean, we want to win a championship for sure. That's why we made the deal. That's what we're setting out to do. Having said that, we're so far from that right now. So our expectations is to grow every day, to get better, to figure out who we are, what we are, how we fit together, and where we can improve. And so it's a process, and you have to earn the right to play for a championship through the regular season and playoffs. And so those steps are still in front of us before we can say, we're a championship team. We're not a team that's running it back, that's been to the finals or conference finals even. We're a brand new entity that has to figure it out, but that is the end goal. And if we take the necessary steps and continue to improve and work towards that and commit to that process, why not? We have a great opportunity here with the players we have.
Brian Lewis, New York Post.
Hey, Steve, I'm curious. Following up, I guess, a little bit on Greg's question. One, James isn't the only one, I guess, that will have to make significant sacrifices. Have you had that same conversation also with KD and Kyrie? Because all of them are going to be shooting less than they're accustomed to, being on the ball less than they're accustomed to. And secondly, assuming everybody passes their physicals, do you expect James to be able to play against Orlando?
Pending physicals, I think he could play tomorrow. And as far as the roles and the adaptation, they realize that this is a great opportunity. So they're not going to be, having the same volume that they're used to, but I think they're all excited by the opportunity to play with other great players and to figure it out, and realizing that this gives them a chance to form an incredible team. So that the prospect of that reality is something that we're all working towards, and I think those guys are really embracing.
Malika Andrews, ESPN.
Hey, Steve, two for you. If Kyrie continues to test negative, it's been, the league has said that he would be eligible to play tomorrow. If James Harden passes his physicals, both would be eligible to play tomorrow. What's the blueprint for that, given the fact that you haven't had practice time with either of them? And will James Harden start immediately?
Whenever James is ready, he will start immediately. I have no update on Kyrie timetable, so I couldn't answer that one. But we have to go through all the protocols and physicals and all the different sections of this. First of all, we have the physicals on the one side, and then we have the COVID protocols. So I don't have an update on Kai, but whenever they're both healthy and ready to go, they will be starting.
So you haven't seen the league's update on Kyrie Irving that he will be eligible to end his quarantine and to rejoin the team activities tomorrow?
I have seen that, but I'm just saying I don't have an update on when he'll be back. So.
Got it. Thank you.
Christian Winfield, New York Daily News.
Hey, Coach. Just curious if you think that you might have to tinker with your offense, be it philosophies or sets that you're going to have to incorporate or plan to incorporate in the future now that you have another superstar that you're folding into the offense instead of, trying to fill some of those holes with role players.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll have to continually tinker, to use your word. We're going to have to assess and refine and adapt as we go here. This is a new group of guys learning to play together for the first time, really before James's trade. So we're still in that boat where we have talent, but we have to form this thing and realize how they can be effective together and how efficient we can get their performances to be while playing together. So that will take time, and that hopefully isn't too painful, but there could be moments where it does take some tough stretches to figure that out. But that's fine. I think that makes you tougher, stronger. I think you get a deeper understanding when you go through some difficult times. So we would embrace anything that this challenge presents so that it makes us better in the end.
Otis Livingston, CBS New York.
Hey, Coach, as a Hall of Fame player, I know you saw a lot of ups and downs, trade rumors that came true, some that didn't, and some wild stuff behind the scenes. How is it affecting you now as a first-time head coach, the events of the past couple weeks?
I generally try to embrace it. I think, I guess you could say for a new coach, a lot's been thrown at us, but that's, I think, an opportunity. Whenever you are facing different scenarios and these unique kind of components of this season, it's an opportunity to learn, grow, and challenge your beliefs and improve at everything you do. So I've embraced it, and I'm right up to the challenge and just trying to figure it out and chip away every day.
Alex Schiffer, The Athletic.
Hey, Steve. Christian kind of stole my first question. So you've talked about this season after games about kind of building toward things and about constant evaluation process. How do you kind of evaluate where you guys are at now, given that you just lost half the roster? That's been a huge piece for you guys the first 12 games.
Well, there is an element of this where we are starting over. So we start to assess again and figure out who we are. But I wouldn't say that everything is lost, because we do have, most of the team staying behind and to build from. So we have that sample size and those data points of how they work and how they work together and how they connect. So, it is starting over in the big picture, but we still, I think, learned a lot from the first stretch of the season.
Brian Mahoney, Associated Press.
Hey, Steve, obviously James kind of played as a point guard in Houston, but people don't look at him that way like they did at you as a sort of natural point guard. What kind of role do you expect him to play in Brooklyn, where you already obviously have Kyrie, but he's shown he can kind of do either or?
Yeah, I think the game's becoming more and more positionless. You don't have to define the roles so clearly. Fortunately for us, I think James is a point guard essentially, but he has the size to play in multiple positions. If you want to go the positional and traditional route, Kyrie will be a point guard. He also is very capable of playing off the ball. So, I think there's a lot of interchangeability between the players, and in the way the game's going, and the modern game is very interchangeable and positionless as it is. So, it's really about how much these guys want to sacrifice to become an efficient unit. And if they're willing to do that, it doesn't really matter who brings the ball up the court and what you label it. It's about how they play together and how willing they are to work and make each other better.
David Aldridge, The Athletic.
Hey, Steve. Two things. Number one, everyone has kind of looked at how's this going to work offensively. How's this going to work defensively?
Yeah, I think, offensively is going to be a challenge just to figure out how these parts fit. It's a great problem to have because they're all extremely talented offensive players. I think defensively, they also are very capable. The big three are capable defenders. They're intelligent and experienced players. So while we have to go down this path and figure out what the best way to defend is with this group, I do think that there's more potential than maybe people assess from the outside on paper.
And as part of that, I mean, is a lineup with KD at the 5 a possibility given his rim protection ability that he's displayed over the past few years?
I think it's a possibility to get there. I'd love to see it. I think we need to let Kevin kind of still find his footing as far as, I think we overlook how soon this is for Kevin and that he needs to continually get more comfortable at offense, but also defense. You play pickup games for 9-10 months. No one's scheming you, no one's double teaming you, no one's trying to put pressure on you. It's basically glorified one-on-one. And so he's still adapting offensively to the schemes and the timing and the pressure and all those things that you just can't emulate until you play NBA basketball games. And I think he's even more so adapting to the defense because, pickup games, you're not in a scheme, you're not in a communicative environment. So, but do I see Kevin potentially playing some 5? Absolutely. But that's a night-to-night thing. That's a down-the-road thing, I think. I think we have to be patient with him and allow him to kind of find his feet again.
Jen Williams, Fox 5.
Sorry, Coach. Can you hear me?
I got you.
Sorry about that. So you called them the big 3 yourself, and you said offensively, defensively, you're not worried about how they'll gel. How are you going to, how do you expect chemistry to go with this team?
Well, I lean back on the opportunity here. I think these guys recognize that to win, you can't do it alone, and that to get to play with other players of this caliber is an incredibly fortunate opportunity. So I think they are grateful and looking to find a way to gel and make each other better.
Vince Goodwill, Yahoo Sports.
Hey, Steve, I'm just curious if there's any trepidation about bringing James in, given how things played out in Houston with, some of the things his teammates said over the past week or so with how he comported himself. And secondly, these are 3 unique personalities. What do you see your role in as far as the off-court chemistry and how those 3 unique personalities sort of affect themselves within the team?
The answer to the first question is I think James carried that team for many years and gave them everything he had. So since he asked for a trade, I think that's a sample size that is fairly irrelevant as far as judging him. So, and then as far as the personalities, look, these guys, they want to win. And if they really want to win, they'll find a way to play together. And, I think our role as coaches is to create an environment that is, really, really enjoyable, challenging, competitive, but fun. And if you can put those elements in the mix and make those things the way it looks and feels every day, I don't think that the personalities are as big of a challenge.
Taylor Rooks, Bleacher Report.
Hey, so you have touched on this a bit, but if you could pinpoint one specific thing, what do you anticipate being the biggest challenge with coaching these 3 stars? And is there anything that you draw from, experience from your career that will help you overcome that challenge?
I think it's about finding that the best way for them to gel and be efficient together. So, they're all going to take a slightly less volume approach to playing now. And, there's still plenty of shots to go around. There's still plenty of opportunities to make plays to go around, but it's not going to be in the same format that it was before where they were, largely the number one focal point. It's going to be much more spread between the 3 of them. And they also have to make their other teammates better, and they will do that. And I think that, having played on teams with other talented players, you can see the pitfalls, you can see the difficulties, and you can lean on those experiences. And I think part of that is just starting out with really stripping down what are our motives here together. Like, what are we here for? What do we want to accomplish? And once we're on the same page there, which I believe we are, you can start building and assessing how this is going to work and making it a process. It's not something that has to look perfect next week. It's something that we have to begin and have a vision towards where we're going. And then we continually try to improve upon it every day.